Hello and welcome to the first episode of Jerry Explains It to You. First off, I must apologize for these low-tech conditions. The first episode we did was actually on a very high-definition camera. It was so high definition and so big that YouTube couldn't handle it. So we have to go low-tech for right now. Apologies. We'll try to get the other camera back into circulation as soon as we can. So, welcome. What are we going to talk about this week? Well, we're going to talk about where do you get your news? Where do you find your information? When I ask that question, you might think to yourself, well, I know exactly where I get my news. I get it from A, B, C, or D. In this world, we have a lot of things trying to give us news. We have Twitter accounts, we have Facebook, we have news on television or even on the internet. But my question to you is, are you getting that information and the conclusions you eventually draw from it correctly? Let me give you an example. Let's say you just moved to a new town for a job. It's Saturday, the wife and kids haven't gotten to the new house yet, and you're hungry. You could maybe go to a fast food place, but you've decided you want a steak. You want a great steak. Now remember, you've never been to this town before, so you don't know. So you go outside and your new neighbor, who seemed pretty nice when you met him when the moving truck arrived, is out there watering his lawn. You walk over to him and you say, you know, I'm really hungry and I'm looking for a great steak. Can you tell me of a place in town where I can get a great steak? Your neighbor thinks for a second. He says, well, no question. It's Bob's Steakhouse. And he tells you how to get there. Says it's the best steak you'll ever have. Now, here's my question to you. Are you going to go to Bob's Steakhouse? Think about it. You don't know this guy. He seemed nice. Now, he's got a little bit more information than you. He knows he's been here. And he says that Bob's Steakhouse is where you can get the best steak in town. Now, well, holding that idea for a second, think about how many times that you check the reviews of something. Most of the time, if you've got a new project or there's some new place you want to try, where do you go? Maybe to Yelp, maybe to Amazon reviews, maybe to product reviews. So when you're looking at all these reviews to determine whether or not you're going to buy something or go somewhere, do you only just read the first review? Of course not, right? You're going to scroll for about maybe 15 seconds and look and see what everyone is saying. All right, let's go back to Bob's Steakhouse question. Let's say you go to Bob's Steakhouse. It's a pretty good steak. You know, maybe in your life you've had better, but it's pretty good, and you think your neighbor gave you a good deal. A week later, your boss says, hey, you know, you're new guy here, I'm going to take you out. Do you like steak? And you're like, hey, I love steak. And he says, okay, we're going to go to Greg's Steakhouse. It's the best steakhouse west of the Mississippi. You didn't even know about Greg's. You go to Greg's, and it is the best steak you have ever had in your life. Tears are coming down. It's so good. Now, did your neighbor give you a bum steer? No, probably not. Maybe he's never been to Greg's. Maybe he went to Greg's and he had a terrible experience. But you took one person's opinion. So let's talk about where do you get your news. When you get your news, it's usually from a certain source. You can say, well, I like this source, or I like that source. That's where I go to get my news. But isn't going to one place, like reading that one review, listening to that one neighbor? For me, I got very tired of only getting one side of the story. I would read an account on the internet, and then a few days later, I check back and find out that a lot of the things were wrong. So I decided that there was only one real way to get information. Now, this may not be for everybody, and certainly you can't do it for every news story you read. But go to your go-to place for a story. Now, it has to obviously be either a big story, a national story. If it's about how your high school team won the state championship, you're kind of limited in the other sources you can get. But go to your place to read your news and read the story. Then go to another source that maybe you don't trust that much, that maybe you don't believe gives the real truth. Read that same story. And then find a site that you're not even sure if it's the truth or not, and read that same story one more time, 3 times. You'd be amazed at how many differences you'll find. The other thing with news is that sometimes we get spun a lot. You know, a news website or a newspaper or TV news report will tell you that this is the only place to get that news. You are in the right spot. The one that I always found that perfectly illustrates this point is Fox News. The no spin zone. This is the best reporting in TV. It's honest. That's what they tell you. But then, isn't that in itself a spin? If they're telling you that everybody else doesn't know what's going on, but we know, there's already a bias there. They're telling you that this is the only place for news, and if you're getting news from anywhere else, you are stupid. CNN does it too, where the news comes first. MSNBC, or just pick your news channel at random. So when you get to these stories and you see it on the news, go to the competitor and find that same story. See what they're saying about it. As I said, you'll be surprised at how many differences there are. Well, that's for the first episode. You can follow me on Twitter at Jerry Explains It, or go to the Facebook page Paintivity. That's paint and creativity, put it together, Paintivity. The address is at the bottom of this video. Subscribe to the channel, and hopefully the next one will be a little bit more high definition, a little less light. And just remember, the world is full of things that people seldom observe. Take it easy and get your news from at least 3 sources.